The day started like any other on Earth. People went about their daily lives, unaware of the danger lurking in the sky above. Little did they know that their world was about to change forever. High above the planet, hidden behind the moon, a massive alien fleet waited. These aliens, known as the Zorgans, had traveled across the galaxy with one goal in mind: to conquer Earth and make it their new home. The Zorgan leader, Commander Xar, stood on the bridge of the mothership. His scaly skin glistened under the artificial lights as he gazed at the blue planet before him. "Prepare the oxygen bombs," he ordered, his voice full of confidence. "These primitive humans won't know what hit them." The Zorgans had spent years studying Earth from afar. They knew that humans needed oxygen to survive, so they had created a weapon that would turn this necessity against them. The oxygen bombs were designed to flood the atmosphere with an extremely high concentration of oxygen, making the air toxic and unbreathable for humans. As the first light of dawn broke over Earth's horizon, the Zorgan fleet moved into position. Thousands of sleek, silver ships spread out across the sky, their engines humming quietly. Commander Xar gave the signal, and the first wave of oxygen bombs was launched. The bombs fell silently through the atmosphere, invisible to the naked eye. As they reached their designated altitudes, they exploded, releasing massive clouds of concentrated oxygen. The air shimmered and warped as the excess oxygen spread rapidly. On the ground, people began to notice something was wrong. In New York City, a jogger in Central Park suddenly found it hard to breathe. He collapsed to the ground, gasping for air that seemed too thick. Similar scenes played out in cities and towns across the globe. Panic set in as more and more people began to feel the effects of the oxygen-rich air. Emergency services were overwhelmed with calls. Hospitals filled up with patients suffering from what seemed like a worldwide epidemic of respiratory distress. World leaders scrambled to understand what was happening. Scientists worked frantically to analyze the changed atmosphere, but their equipment was not designed to measure such high levels of oxygen. As chaos spread, the Zorgans watched from above, pleased with the effectiveness of their weapon. Commander Xar turned to his second-in-command, a tall, slender alien named Zex. "Launch the second wave," he ordered. "Let's finish this quickly." More bombs rained down, intensifying the effect. The excess oxygen began to have other consequences. Fires broke out spontaneously, fueled by the oxygen-rich air. Entire city blocks went up in flames within minutes. As the hours passed, the death toll rose rapidly. Millions of humans succumbed to the toxic atmosphere. Those who survived sought shelter in sealed buildings or underground bunkers, but they knew it was only a matter of time before their safe havens ran out of clean air. The Zorgans prepared for their ground invasion, confident that they had eliminated most of the human threat. They donned their protective suits, designed to filter out the excess oxygen, and began to descend to the planet's surface. But as the alien ships broke through the clouds, something unexpected happened. In various locations around the world, small groups of humans emerged from shelter. These survivors moved about freely, seemingly unaffected by the altered atmosphere. A young Zorgan scientist on the mothership noticed this anomaly on their monitoring screens. "Commander," he called out, his voice trembling with uncertainty. "You need to see this." Commander Xar rushed to the view screen, his eyes widening in disbelief as he watched humans walking amidst the toxic air. "Impossible," he muttered. "How can they survive?" For the first time since the invasion began, doubt crept into the minds of the Zorgan leaders. They had been so sure of their plan, so confident in their weapon. Now, faced with this unexpected development, they realized that conquering Earth might not be as easy as they had thought. As the sun set on the first day of the invasion, both sides prepared for what was to come. The surviving humans, discovering their newfound resistance to the oxygen-rich atmosphere, began to organize and plan their defense. The Zorgans, shaken but still determined, readied themselves for a ground assault. The battle for Earth had only just begun, and it promised to be unlike anything either species had ever experienced before. As the sun rose on the second day of the invasion, The world lay in chaos. The Zorgans' oxygen bombs had claimed millions of lives, leaving cities in ruins and survivors struggling to understand what had happened. But amidst the devastation, pockets of hope began to emerge. In the heart of London, Dr. Emily Chen stumbled out of her makeshift underground lab. She had spent the night analyzing air samples, trying to make sense of the sudden change in Earth's atmosphere. As she stepped outside, she braced herself for the toxic air. But to her surprise, she could breathe normally. How is this possible? She wondered aloud, her scientific mind racing to understand. Looking around, she saw others emerging from shelters, equally confused by their ability to survive in the oxygen-rich environment. Across the Atlantic, in a small town in Kansas, farmer John Miller stood in his wheat field, watching as alien ships hovered in the distance. He had hidden in his storm cellar when the attack began, but curiosity had drawn him out. Now, he marveled at how the usually golden wheat had turned a vibrant, almost unnatural shade of green overnight. Must be all that extra oxygen, John muttered to himself. He noticed that he felt stronger, more alert than usual. His lungs seemed to work better than ever before. Meanwhile, in a secret military bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Sarah Thompson received reports from around the globe. "Sir," a young lieutenant said, handing her a tablet, "we're getting strange readings from the survivors. Their cellular activity is off the charts." General Thompson studied the data, her brow furrowed. "It's as if their bodies have adapted to the new atmosphere," she said. "But how? And why only some of us?" As humans grappled with these questions, the Zorgans prepared for their ground assault. Commander Xar, still shaken by the unexpected survival of some humans, ordered a small scouting party to land and capture specimens for study. In Central Park, New York, a Zorgan ship touched down. 3 alien soldiers, clad in protective suits, emerged and began their search. They didn't have to look far. A group of survivors, led by a former boxing champion named Mike Tyson, had gathered near the Belvedere Castle. As the aliens approached, Mike stepped forward. "We come in peace," the lead Zorgan said in broken English, its translator struggling with the unfamiliar language. Mike's response was swift and unexpected. With lightning speed, he threw a punch that sent the alien flying backward. The other Zorgans raised their weapons, but Mike's companions were already upon them. To everyone's surprise, the humans moved with incredible speed and strength. Within minutes, the alien scouting party was subdued. The humans, exhilarated by their victory and their newfound abilities, quickly bound the Zorgans and began examining their technology. News of this encounter spread rapidly among the surviving humans. People began to realize that the deadly oxygen bombs had triggered something within them, a rapid evolution that allowed them to not only survive but thrive in the altered atmosphere. Dr. Chen, who had made her way to a functioning lab in Oxford, worked tirelessly to understand this phenomenon. It appears, she explained to a group of fellow scientists via a makeshift video conference, that the oxygen bombs have activated dormant genes in our DNA. We're adapting at an unprecedented rate. As this information circulated, survivors began to organize. They discovered that their enhanced physical abilities were just the beginning. Some reported increased intelligence, while others found they could communicate telepathically. In Washington, D.C., the remnants of the government convened an emergency meeting. "We need to use this to our advantage," General Thompson urged. "The aliens think they've weakened us, but they've only made us stronger." Plans for a counterattack began to form. Survivors with military experience started training others, honing their new abilities for the fight ahead. Engineers and scientists worked around the clock to reverse engineer the alien technology from the captured scouts. Up in the Zorgan mothership, Commander Xar received the news of the failed scouting mission with growing alarm. "How can this be?" he raged. "Their atmosphere should be lethal to them now." The young Zorgan scientist who had first noticed the surviving humans spoke up. "Sir, I have a theory. It seems our weapon has had an unintended effect on human physiology. Instead of killing them, it's changing them. Czar's eyes narrowed. "Prepare our strongest weapons," he ordered. "We must strike now, before they grow even stronger." As the Zorgans readied for a full-scale invasion, humanity prepared for the fight of its life. The oxygen bombs, intended to be an instrument of destruction, had instead become a catalyst for human evolution. The battle for Earth was about to enter a new phase, and the outcome was anything but certain. As the third day of the alien invasion dawned, a new sense of purpose spread among the survivors. The initial shock and fear had given way to determination and hope. Across the globe, pockets of resistance began to form, united by their shared experience and newfound abilities. In the ruins of Tokyo, a young woman named Akira Tanaka discovered she could control electronic devices with her mind. She used this power to reactivate dormant communication networks, connecting survivors across Japan. "We are not alone," she broadcasted. "We are stronger than ever before." Meanwhile, in the Amazon rainforest, a tribe of indigenous people found they could communicate with plants and animals. Led by their shaman, Carlos, they began to gather an army of nature, preparing to defend their land against the alien invaders. Dr. Emily Chen, working tirelessly in her Oxford lab, made a breakthrough. The oxygen bombs didn't just change our bodies, she explained to a group of international scientists over a secure video call. "They've unlocked parts of our brains we've never used before. We're evolving at an incredible rate." This news spread quickly among the resistance groups. People began to explore their new abilities, pushing the limits of what they could do. In Africa, a group led by a former Olympic athlete, Aisha Okoro, discovered they could run at superhuman speeds and jump incredible distances. "We need to use these gifts," Aisha told her followers. "We can outmaneuver the aliens, strike where they least expect it." General Sarah Thompson, coordinating the global resistance from her bunker in the Rocky Mountains, received reports of these developments with growing excitement. "This is our chance," she told her advisors. "We need to bring these groups together, form a united front against the Zorgans." As plans for a global resistance took shape, the Zorgans weren't idle. Commander Xar, frustrated by the unexpected turn of events, ordered more aggressive tactics. Zorgan ships began targeting key infrastructure, hoping to cripple human communications and supply lines. But the aliens were in for another surprise. In New York, Mike Tyson and his group had learned to use their enhanced strength to incredible effect. As Zorgan ships approached the city, Mike led a team to the top of the Empire State Building. With unbelievable force, they began hurling pieces of debris at the alien craft, bringing several down. Similar scenes played out in cities around the world. In Paris, a group of survivors used their newly developed ability to control wind currents to create turbulence, making it difficult for Zorgan ships to maintain stable flight. In Moscow, a team of former computer programmers who had developed technopathic abilities managed to hack into and take control of a landed Zorgan scout ship. These small victories boosted morale among the human resistance. People began to believe they could win this war. But the Zorgans still had superior numbers and technology. The fight was far from over. In his mothership, Commander Xar raged at his subordinates. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "They were supposed to be primitive, weak. Now they're bringing down our ships with their bare hands." The young Zorgan scientist who had been studying the humans spoke up. "Sir, I believe we've made a grave miscalculation. The humans' adaptability is unlike anything we've ever encountered. They're not just surviving our weapon, they're thriving because of it." Czar's eyes narrowed. "Then we need a new strategy. Prepare the mega-oxygen bomb. If we can't beat them with quality, we'll overwhelm them with quantity." As the Zorgans prepared their next attack, the human resistance continued to grow stronger. Dr. Chen and her team worked on developing technology that could enhance their new abilities even further. General Thompson coordinated with resistance leaders around the world, preparing for a major counteroffensive. In the Amazon, Carlos and his tribe communed with the forest, feeling the pulse of the earth itself. The planet is fighting with us, he told his people. We are not alone in this battle. HFY, using her technopathic abilities, managed to hack into the Zorgan communication systems. They're planning something big, she warned the resistance leaders. We need to be ready. As the sun set on the third day of the invasion, both sides prepared for what would surely be a decisive battle. The humans, once thought doomed by the oxygen bombs, now stood tall, their new abilities giving them hope. The Zorgans, shaken but still determined, readied their most powerful weapon yet. The fate of Earth hung in the balance. The next few days would determine whether humanity would fall or rise to heights never before imagined. The stage was set for an epic confrontation that would change the course of history forever. As the fourth day of the invasion began, both humans and Zorgans prepared for a major confrontation. The aliens, shocked by the humans' unexpected resilience, were ready to unleash their most powerful weapon yet. Commander Xar stood on the bridge of his mothership, his scaly hands clasped behind his back. "Launch the mega-oxygen bomb," he ordered, his voice filled with determination. "Let's see how these evolved humans handle this." The mega-oxygen bomb was massive, easily visible as it descended from the sky. It was aimed at the heart of North America, where the human resistance seemed strongest. As it fell, people across the continent watched with a mix of fear and curiosity. In her Rocky Mountain bunker, General Sarah Thompson received urgent messages from around the world. "Ma'am," a young lieutenant reported, "our sensors are picking up an enormous object entering the atmosphere. It's like nothing we've seen before." Sarah's face hardened. "This must be what Akira warned us about. Alert all resistance groups. We need to be ready for anything." The bomb detonated high in the atmosphere, releasing an unimaginable amount of oxygen. The air shimmered and warped. Trees burst into spontaneous flames, and metal structures began to rust at an alarming rate. The Zorgans watched from their ships, certain that this time they had dealt a killing blow to humanity. But once again, the humans surprised them. In New York, Mike Tyson and his team stood their ground as the wave of hyper-oxygenated air washed over them. Instead of collapsing, they felt a surge of energy. Mike's eyes widened as he realized what was happening. "Guys," he shouted, his voice filled with excitement, "we're getting stronger." Similar scenes played out across the continent. The evolved humans, instead of being harmed by the mega-oxygen bomb, were absorbing its energy. Their bodies, already adapted to high oxygen levels, used the excess to fuel further mutations. In the Amazon, Carlos and his tribe felt the change in the air. The shaman closed his eyes, communing with the forest. "The trees," he murmured, "they're changing too. The whole forest is evolving with us." Dr. Emily Chen, monitoring the situation from her lab in Oxford, was astounded by the data she was receiving. "It's incredible," she told her colleagues. "The mega-oxygen bomb has accelerated our evolution even further. We're seeing abilities emerge that we thought were impossible." Reports flooded in from around the world. In Russia, a group of survivors discovered they could control the weather, summoning storms to drive away Zorgan ships. In Australia, people found they could manipulate the Earth itself, creating barriers and traps for the alien invaders. Akira, using her enhanced technopathic abilities, managed to tap into the Zorgans' communication systems. She listened in as the aliens reacted to the failure of their ultimate weapon. On the mothership, Commander Xar was in a state of disbelief. "How?" he roared. "How can they survive this? It's not possible." The young Zorgan scientist who had been studying the humans spoke up, his voice trembling. "Sir, I believe we've made a terrible mistake. Each attack we launch against the humans only makes them stronger. Their ability to adapt is beyond anything we've ever encountered." Xar turned to his advisors, his eyes blazing with anger and fear. "We need a new strategy," he hissed. "Prepare for a full ground assault. We'll defeat these humans face to face." As the Zorgans prepared for their desperate attack, the human resistance grew stronger by the hour. General Thompson coordinated with leaders around the world, developing plans to use their new abilities in the coming battle. Mike Tyson, now able to lift entire buildings with ease, organized his team to create defenses around major cities. Aisha Okoro, her speed now so great she could run across oceans, served as a messenger between continents, helping to unite the global resistance. In the Amazon, Carlos led his tribe in communing with the evolving forest. The trees grew to enormous sizes, forming natural fortresses against the coming Zorgan attack. Animals, too, seemed to be changing, becoming more intelligent, and joining the fight against the invaders. Dr. Chen worked tirelessly to understand and enhance their new abilities. "We're not just evolving physically," she explained to the resistance leaders. "Our minds are expanding too. We may soon develop abilities we can't even imagine yet." As night fell on the fourth day of the invasion, humanity stood united and stronger than ever before. The Zorgans, once so confident in their superiority, now faced an enemy that grew more powerful with each passing hour. The stage was set for a final, epic battle. The Zorgans would throw everything they had at Earth in a desperate bid for victory. But humanity, armed with their incredible new abilities and unbreakable spirit, was ready to fight for their world. The fate of Earth would be decided in the coming days, and neither side was willing to back down. As the fifth day of the alien invasion dawned, Earth's atmosphere sparkled with an unnatural shimmer. The excess oxygen from the mega-oxygen bomb still lingered, fueling the rapid evolution of both humans and the environment. But today would mark a turning point in the war, thanks to the tireless efforts of Earth's scientists. Dr. Emily Chen stood in her makeshift lab in Oxford, surrounded by a team of the world's brightest minds. They had been working nonstop, pushing their enhanced intellects to the limit. "We've done it," she announced, her voice trembling with excitement. "We've cracked the code of our own evolution." The team gathered around a large holographic display, watching as complex DNA strands twisted and changed before their eyes. Dr. Chen pointed to specific sequences, explaining their discovery. "The Zorgans' oxygen bombs didn't just trigger random mutations," she said. "They activated dormant genes in our DNA, genes that have been there for millions of years. We're not just evolving. We're awakening abilities that have been sleeping inside us all along." News of this breakthrough spread rapidly through the global resistance network. In her Rocky Mountain bunker, General Sarah Thompson received the report with growing excitement. "This changes everything," she told her advisors. "If we can control our evolution, we can develop the exact abilities we need to win this war." Meanwhile, in New York City, Mike Tyson and his team were preparing for the expected Zorgan ground assault. As they moved pieces of fallen skyscrapers to create barricades, Mike's phone buzzed with an incoming message. "Guys, check this out," he called to his team. "The eggheads in Oxford say they can help us get even stronger. They're sending instructions on how to trigger specific mutations." Across the globe, resistance fighters began receiving similar messages. In the Australian outback, a group of survivors who had developed the ability to control earth and stone found they could now shape entire landscapes with a thought. In the depths of the Amazon rainforest, Carlos and his tribe discovered they could accelerate the growth of plants, turning seedlings into towering trees in minutes. Akira Tanaka, monitoring Zorgan communications from her base in Tokyo, picked up frantic chatter among the alien forces. "They're panicking," she reported to the resistance leaders. "They can't understand how we're advancing so quickly." On the Zorgan mothership, Commander Xar was indeed in a state of near panic. How is this possible? He raged at his scientific advisors. Their evolution should be random, chaotic. Instead, they're developing exactly the abilities they need to counter our every move. The young Zorgan scientist who had been studying the humans spoke up, his voice filled with a mix of fear and awe. "Sir, I believe we've severely underestimated these humans. They're not just adapting to survive our weapons. They're using them to fuel their own advancement. At this rate, they'll soon surpass our own level of evolution." Czar's eyes narrowed. "Then we have no choice. Prepare for immediate full-scale ground invasion. We must strike now, before they grow even stronger. As the Zorgans prepared for their all-out assault, humanity continued to evolve and prepare. Dr. Chen and her team worked tirelessly, developing new techniques to unlock more of their hidden potential. In Africa, Aisha Okoro led a team of hyper-fast runners, their speed now so great they could create tornadoes with their movement. They practiced new battle techniques, ready to use their speed as a weapon against the invaders. In Russia, the weather controlling group expanded their abilities, learning to create targeted storms that could disable Zorgan ships without harming the surrounding areas. General Thompson coordinated these efforts from her bunker, amazed at the rapid progress. "We're not just fighting for survival anymore," she told her staff. "We're fighting for our right to become something greater than we ever imagined." As the day wore on, tension built on both sides. The Zorgans gathered their forces, preparing for what they hoped would be a swift and decisive ground assault. But with each passing hour, humanity grew stronger, more unified, and more determined to protect their world. Dr. Chen made one final broadcast to the resistance forces around the world. "Remembered," she said, her voice filled with determination. "Our greatest strength is not just our new abilities, but our humanity. Our compassion, our creativity, our will to survive. These are the things the Zorgans can never understand or defeat." As night fell on the 5th day of the invasion, Earth stood on the brink of its greatest battle. The Zorgans were coming, in numbers never before seen. But humanity was ready, armed with incredible new powers and an unbreakable spirit. The fate of the planet would be decided in the coming hours, and the entire human race held its breath, ready to fight for their future. The 6th day of the alien invasion broke with an eerie calm. The sky, still shimmering with excess oxygen, turned a deep red as the sun rose. Both humans and Zorgans knew that this day would decide the fate of Earth. Commander Tar stood at the helm of his massive warship, leading the Zorgan fleet towards Earth's surface. "Today we end this," he growled to his troops. "No matter the cost, we will claim this planet." Thousands of Zorgan ships descended from the sky, their engines roaring. They landed in key locations around the globe, disgorging armies of alien soldiers armed with advanced weapons. In New York, Mike Tyson watched the invasion force approach. He turned to his team, his eyes blazing with determination. "Remember what Dr. Chen said. Our humanity is our strength. Let's show these aliens what we're made of." With a mighty leap, Mike jumped onto a nearby Zorgan ship. His enhanced strength allowed him to tear through the hull like it was paper. All around the city, his team engaged the alien forces, using their newfound abilities to devastating effect. In the Amazon rainforest, Carlos and his tribe stood ready. As Zorgan troops pushed through the dense jungle, the very trees seemed to come alive. Massive vines wrapped around alien soldiers, while the ground itself opened up to swallow their vehicles. Carlos raised his hands, his connection to nature stronger than ever. "The earth fights with us," he called out. "We are one with the forest, and the forest rejects these invaders." Across the Australian outback, Zorgan ships found themselves caught in sudden, violent sandstorms. The ground beneath them shifted and changed, making it impossible to gain a foothold. A group of evolved humans, led by a former geologist named Emma, used their earth-manipulating powers to turn the very landscape into a weapon. "Keep it up," Emma shouted to her team. "We're the immune system of the earth, and these aliens are the disease." In Tokyo, Akira Tanaka sat in her command center, her mind linked directly to the city's electronic infrastructure. As Zorgan forces attempted to take control of key installations, they found themselves locked out, their own technology turning against them. Akira's eyes glowed with an ethereal light as she coordinated the city's defense. "Your technology is impressive," she murmured, as if speaking directly to the Zorgans, "but it's no match for the human mind." High above the earth, Dr. Emily Chen worked frantically on a space station that had been hastily modified to serve as a research lab. She and her team had made a critical discovery. General Thompson, she called over the comlink. We found a way to use the excess oxygen in the atmosphere against the Zorgans. If we can ignite it in a controlled manner, we can create a shockwave that will disable their ships. In her Rocky Mountain bunker, General Sarah Thompson received the news with grim satisfaction. Do it, she ordered. Coordinate with our weather control teams. We'll give those aliens a storm they'll never forget. As battles raged across the globe, the resistance put their plan into action. In Russia, the weather control team summoned a massive thunderstorm. Lightning arced across the sky, igniting the oxygen-rich atmosphere in a carefully controlled pattern. The result was spectacular. A series of shockwaves rippled around the planet, catching the Zorgan fleet off guard. Ships tumbled from the sky, their systems overloaded by the sudden energy surge. On his command ship, Commander Xar watched in horror as his invasion force was decimated. Impossible, he muttered, his confidence finally shattered. How can they control the very air itself? The young Zorgan scientist who had warned about underestimating the humans approached Xar. Sir, he said, his voice trembling, I believe we've lost. These humans, they're not just adapting to survive. They're evolving to thrive. We can't beat them on their own world. As Zorgan forces retreated across the globe, humanity pressed their advantage. Mike Tyson and his team in New York rounded up the last of the alien ground forces. In the Amazon, Carlos and his tribe used their nature-controlling abilities to heal the damage done to the rainforest. Akira, her mind still linked to Tokyo systems, coordinated global communications, ensuring that all resistance groups were working together. Emma and her team in Australia began the process of repairing the landscape, using their powers to restore the natural balance. As the sun set on the 6th day of the invasion, it was clear that the tide had turned. The Zorgans, once so confident in their superiority, were in full retreat. Humanity, united and evolved, stood victorious. But the war wasn't over yet. Commander Xar, though defeated, was not ready to surrender. As his battered fleet regrouped in orbit, he began to plan a final desperate attack. The fate of both species would be decided in the coming hours. As the 7th day of the invasion dawned, Earth held its breath. The Zorgan fleet, though badly beaten, still loomed in orbit. Commander Xar, his pride wounded and his options limited, prepared for one last desperate attack. We will not leave empty-handed, Tar growled to his remaining troops. Prepare the planet killer bomb. If we can't have Earth, no one will. But the humans, with their newly evolved abilities and united spirit, were ready. In her Rocky Mountain bunker, General Sarah Thompson received an urgent message from Akira Tanaka in Tokyo. General, Akira's voice crackled over the comm. I've intercepted the Zorgans' plans. They're going to try to destroy the entire planet. Sarah's face hardened with determination. Not if we have anything to say about it. Contact Dr. Chen on the space station. It's time for our final move. High above the Earth, Dr. Emily Chen and her team worked feverishly. They had turned the space station into a giant antenna, capable of channeling the collective mental energy of Earth's evolved humans. Everyone, listen carefully. Dr. Chen broadcast to the resistance forces worldwide. We need every evolved human to focus their mental energy on the space station. Together, we can create a shield strong enough to repel any attack. Around the globe, humans responded to the call. In New York, Mike Tyson and his team gathered in Times Square, their minds reaching out to the sky. In the Amazon, Carlos led his tribe in a spiritual chant, connecting their newfound powers to the Earth itself. In Australia, Emma and her geologists shaped a massive crystal formation, amplifying their mental energies. Across Russia, the weather control team summoned Aurora Borealis, using it as a conduit for their thoughts. As millions of minds focused their energy, Dr. Chen felt the power building in the space station. It's working, she exclaimed. Keep it up, everyone. In orbit, Commander Xar gave the order to launch the planet killer bomb. The massive weapon detached from the mothership, beginning its descent towards Earth. But as it entered the atmosphere, it met an unexpected resistance. A shimmering shield of pure mental energy enveloped the planet, growing stronger by the second. Tsar watched in disbelief as his ultimate weapon harmlessly disintegrated against the shield. "No," he roared. "This is impossible." The young Zorgan scientist who had been studying the humans turned to Tsar. "Sir," he said firmly, "it's over. We've lost. These humans have surpassed us in ways we never imagined possible. We must retreat, or we risk the total destruction of our species." For a moment, Tsar stood silent, his alien features unreadable. Then, slowly he nodded. "Send the surrender signal," he said quietly. "The Earth belongs to the humans." As the Zorgan fleet retreated into deep space, cheers erupted across the planet. Humanity had not only survived but triumphed, evolving into something greater than they had ever imagined. In the days that followed, the world began to rebuild. The evolved humans used their new abilities to repair the damage done by the invasion. Destroyed cities were rebuilt in days, polluted environments were cleansed, and new technologies beyond anything previously imagined were developed. Dr. Chen, working with scientists around the world, helped people understand and control their new abilities. "We've unlocked the hidden potential of our species," she explained in a global broadcast. "But with great power comes great responsibility. We must use these gifts wisely." General Thompson, now heading a global peacekeeping force, ensured that the new abilities were used for the benefit of all humanity. "We fought as one to save our world," she reminded everyone. "Now we must work as one to build a better future." In the Amazon, Carlos and his tribe became guardians of the Earth's ecosystems, using their nature-controlling abilities to restore balance to damaged environments worldwide. Akira Tanaka led a revolution in global communication, creating a network that allowed instant, telepathic connection between all humans. "We are more united now than ever before," she said. "Distance and language are no longer barriers." As for Mike Tyson, he took on the role of a teacher, helping people around the world master their physical enhancements. "We're all champions now," he often said to his students. "But true strength comes from how we use our powers to help others." A year after the invasion, Earth was transformed. Humanity had entered a new golden age, with peace, prosperity, and incredible advancements in every field. The threat of the Zorgans had pushed humanity to evolve, unlocking potential that had lain dormant for millennia. As the sun set on this new Earth, a small group gathered on a hilltop. Dr. Chen, General Thompson, Mike, Carlos, Akira, and Emma looked out over a world forever changed. "We did it," Emma said softly. "We saved our world." "No," Dr. Chen corrected with a smile. "We did more than that. We discovered who we truly are, and what we're capable of becoming." As they watched the stars come out, each of them felt a deep sense of pride and hope. The invasion had been a trial by fire, but humanity had emerged stronger, more united, and ready to face whatever challenges the universe might bring. The Earth, once a target for alien conquest, now stood as a beacon of evolution and unity in the cosmos. A new chapter in human history had begun, and the possibilities were endless.